And today we are going to try something a little different. We are going to do this live, trying to branch out the channel a little bit, try some new things, some new locations. As you can see, we're kind of in the nerd corner of my living room, and wanted to do a review today anyway, so I thought I would try it live, see how this works. Hopefully you can all see this. It's supposed to be streaming live to YouTube, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. If you can see, if you join in, you can definitely chat with me as well. So as far as I can tell, I'm trying something, like I said, trying something new. I'm using this thing called Restream, which I just found out about on Google. I Googled it, found out there was some ways to stream to YouTube. My phone, I said Google, and it's now trying to talk to me. I apologize for that. The quirks of doing something live. But anyhow, I wanted to do a live review today. I was going to do a review of this anyway. I thought I'd try it live and see exactly how this works. So, like I said, there should be a chat over here if you want to talk to me. Shoot me some questions. I like the idea of doing something live because it allows me to interact with the community, with you, the viewers, as I'm doing it, so that you can ask questions in real time if you want to know anything about the book I'm reviewing. The game I'm going to be reviewing today is called Beyond the Black Sea. This was actually sent to me by the author Morgan Lean and Matthew Corrin. It's from, there's a cover here. It's from Epiphany Entertainment, and it's awesome. This is really, really cool. It's a sword and sorcery game in the vein of Conan the Barbarian, Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. That kind of an idea. The idea that is an ancient Earth, and so there's a lot of cultures and stuff in here that are drawn directly from ancient times, sort of antediluvian, that kind of era, that kind of setting, very much like Conan's Hyperborea, or Hyborian Age. And so the twist to this game, though, is that it mixes not only that sword and sorcery feel of things, but it also mentions people's Canaanites. Crunch to this. When I talked to the author about this game, talked about how they wanted to add an aspect of realism to the game itself, and I think they did so very, very well. It does add some complexity to this. There, when you get into the combat section, the rules section of the book, there are basic rules and there are advanced rules. So there's some optional things that you can add to the game itself to make it a little bit more complex, a little bit more realistic. It does have this feeling. I feel like there was a lot of inspiration drawn from, of course, D100 systems, much like basic role playing and that type of thing. But I feel like there was some influence also from things like There's some aspects of background character generation that feels a little bit like Powered by the Apocalypse. There's a little bit of stuff drawn in here that feels like a variety of different games that I feel like were influences into this. It's a nice book. It's very big. It's very thick. Very thick. It's no massive tome. Clocks in at just under 200 pages. Does use hit locations and stuff as well. The artwork in this is phenomenal. Again, this is live, so it's kind of hard to show you some of the stuff, but the artwork is very, very well done. One of the things, and if you've watched the channel before, you'll know this about me, is the first thing I looked for was how they treat magic, how magic is portrayed in this, and that won me over instantly. And I just want to read you a small portion of this. There are several different types of magic in this game. Everything from divine magic to shamanistic magic, thaumaturgy to blood magic, true magic as well. But what's really, really interesting about this, and if you've heard me talk about this before, I think that magic should be dangerous. I think that magic should come at a cost. And this definitely does that. In the fact that it actually, you have your stats and you have your derived stats as well too, things like health and humanity and stuff. So just to quote from the book, it says, every time a sorcerer casts a spell or a priest performs a miracle, a roll is made against the character's humanity stat. If the character rolls over their humanity secondary attribute or rolls 90 plus on your percentile dice, a little piece of them is taken. I love it. I love that aspect about the game. I love the fact that you have there's a chance you're going to lose humanity and empathy. You're sort of losing connection with other people, with the world itself. By dabbling in these arcane arts that you should not be dabbling with. And I find that really, really interesting. Combat system in this, again, it's a D100 system, so it does have a lot of similarities to things like basic role-playing, MERP, and some of those games as well, and levels of complexity. And I'm really, one of the games I've been really looking into lately, trying to wrap my head around a little more, is Rolemaster and Middle-earth role-playing game, or MERP, as it's affectionately called. And I feel like that game, when it was created, there was such a level of complexity that you have to take it all in it at the same time. It's very hard to sort of ease yourself into it. There's the core rules of that game are very simple, but the complexity comes from all the different things that adds to it. Beyond the Black Sea gives you those options to, in a sense, a lot like Burning Wheel, where you can start with very basic concepts and add in more as you become comfortable. This gives you basic rules as well as advanced options if you'd like to add those as well too. Just as an example, some of those advanced options would be, I should have pre-marked these pages before doing this. But there's the idea of being able to add bits of complexity to your gameplay if you'd like to do it. To resolve a task, you roll a D100 percentile, and add all modifiers and skill percentages. And there's so in its core, it's very, very easy. It's very, very simple. At least for me, I've found that I really enjoy percentile-based systems. Call of Cthulhu, all of those. To me, they make a lot more sense. And then you go into things like the advanced sections. Advanced combat adds things like enraged. It adds an advanced form of attacking, parrying, interrupt actions. There's advanced crafting rules in here as well too, if you want to if you want to go into more complexity of just rolling to craft something, there's idea of prospecting, extended task systems, those types of things. So there's a lot of choices in here, a lot of optional things that you can add to the game, including the magic systems as well too. Now the game has several different books available to it. The Beyond the Black Sea is the core book with all the rules and the culture options and class options and such. And then there's the Beyond the Black Sea, still getting used to this camera here, the Bestiary, which has all the creatures inside. Again, the artwork is just utterly phenomenal. So from what little bit of research I've done into this company and talking to the author a little bit, this game is based on one of the original role-playing games that they put out called Fairies Wear Boots, which is a punk-era English role-playing game in which you play fairies. And so the idea of Fairies Wear Boots are the fact that you're playing fairy and fae folk in England during the sort of punk revolution that was going on. So there's an idea of a fairy wearing combat boots and a pink spiked mohawk, or that kind of a theme. There's none of that in here, although it's compatible with that system if you wanted to bring some of your fae characters over into it. But it is just based on the rule set that they created for that particular role-playing game. So Beyond the Black Sea, I'm really enjoying this game. I think this is really phenomenal. It's really, really well done. It's kind of everything that I wished. And now I love the Conan 2D20 system by Modiphius, but I feel like this is what I kind of really wanted out of it. The 2D20 system is interesting, and I enjoy it, but I feel like there's a lot to learn there because it's such a brand new system. With this, it is a brand new system. It does have its own, unique twist to gameplay. But I think that it also has some, to me anyway, it has some similarities. It has things that I can refer to when I read through it and be like, oh, right, in Call of Cthulhu, you got to do this. That's kind of the same as how this works in here, or basic role playing, or any of that kind of thing. So I feel like this was everything that I kind of wanted from a Conan game, with the addition of cool things like magic and folklore kind of added into it as well too. Great game. The layout is really, really well done. It's very clear. It's very easy to read. Just some really, really great stuff. I really enjoy it. I can't wait to dive even further into it. There are some adventures and stuff out there. They call them sagas, which are the adventures. To give you a little bit of an idea of your stats, they are pretty simple in that you have strength, dexterity, constitution, size, attractiveness, and charisma. It really interests me that they finally, and a few games have done this in the past, but a lot of times everything gets lumped into charisma, and charisma just means how outgoing and how much people sort of react to you. Where attractiveness also a lot of times gets dumped into that. So like in D&D, if you have a really high charisma, people just assume that you're beautiful. Not so in this game. Attractiveness and charisma are separate from each other. I find that really evocative in the fact that you can be, your character can be very attractive, but have no charisma whatsoever. And I think that's a great addition to the game, is to have those two separately. Then you have intelligence, education, and empathy. Empathy will later pop into things of your derived attribute into humanity. There's a life path system, which is a bunch of random tables to help you sort of develop and flesh out your character, your homelands. Then you get your derived attributes. So you got your combat skill bonus, you have your academic skill bonus, your social skill bonus, and these are all derived from your original attributes. Your manual skill bonus, your physical skill bonus, your essence, which is your magical energy that your character employs, your humanity points, and your starting skills. So you get a bunch of, it does have a skill system in here. It does use hit point location tables as well too. But does so in a little bit in an easier fashion than some of the other games that I've played or looked at, things like Rollmaster and whatnot. This simply breaks it down to head, arms, chest, abdomen, and legs, and gives you a clear table on how many hit points are derived from your core hit points into each of those locations, and gives you a really cool, handy chart to simply just figure that out. Rather than having to do the math of what's 30% of whatever, simply look up your total hit points and cross-reference, and it tells you how many each location has to go. Archetypes. So the way archetypes are set up, there are just a very few amount of archetypes because it's more using skills and stuff to build the character that you want. So you have a homeland that your culture that you derive from, but then you also have a bunch of abilities to create the kind of character that you want to create. So the archetypes are basically just sort of where your character, the sort of civilized nature of your character. So you have barbarian, you have the civilized, nomad, and primitive. So it's sort of just the structure level of where your character, are they civilized? Do they come from a large city, metropolis type area? Are they a nomad, part of a nomad clan? Do they come from sort of a steppe type region? Primitive, are they, in Conan the Barbarian, Robert Howard's writings, those would be the people, the picks, as he called them, off the kind of society. And then you're going to add in, your equipment and your perks and your combat maneuvers and magic. Now, combat maneuvers is where the game gets a little bit crunchy because it adds in more complexity than simply rolling your dice to hit, choosing a location, and then doing damage. Combat maneuvers add things like parrying or rapid strike or powerful blow. Those types of things that can give the combat a little bit more depth and excitement to it. Having not played this game in a great amount yet, I didn't see where it really slowed down combat so much, but I could see it in bigger battles. If every character is using some of its combat maneuvers, it could definitely slow the combat down. On the other side of that, I think that it also adds a lot more narrative to the combat. It makes it a little bit more fruitful and bountiful in the descriptions of the combat, as opposed to simply like hack and slash, I do this much damage kind of thing. So highly recommend this. I will try to add a link later. Again, like this a whole new live streaming thing for me. So I'm not entirely sure what I can and what I can't add, but I will try to add the DriveThruRpg link to this game so that you can pick it up for yourself. The PDF, it's print on demand as well too, in hardcover. Both these books, hardcover. I believe there's a paperback option as well too, if I remember right. But there's also a PDF option if you want to check it out before you purchase the book. I highly recommend getting the book. Beautifully rendered book. The artwork is amazing. It is, like I said, it is print on demand. So that technology is getting better and better all the time. I haven't had any problems with these books so far. It is a glued binding, so it does creak a little bit. When I first got it, it doesn't seem to do too much now. You can't really hear any creaking now. But the quality of the paper and the artwork is really, really nice. Really, really well done. So Beyond the Black Sea by Morgan Lean, Matthew Corrin, and Epiphany Entertainment. I recommend it. If you're a fan of sword and sorcery, if you're a fan of fae creatures, folklore, fairies, and you want to blend those two things together with some really awesome magic rules. Again, I can't stress it enough. The magic and the effects that it has on your humanity is great. It's a very humanocentric game. All the characters you're going to play are humans, but you'll see creatures, adversaries, being elves and dwarves and stuff. And that's where it kind of adds in the sort of high fantasy with the sword and sorcery a bit as well too. So until next time, if you've liked this video, if you like the idea of a live streaming, let me know in the comments, and I will I'll do more or less of them based upon your thoughts. So until next time, I'm QuestWise. Stay safe. Game on, my friends.